Hello everyone, it's DarkFairy07. Today we are playing Eldrazi Aggro in Modern, and my performance with this deck has been amazing. This is slowly becoming one of my favorite things to do in Modern, and this deck is doing some phenomenal stuff, killing early and having disruption all by just playing creatures. Okay, I'm lying, we also have Chalice of the Void, Kozilek's Command, two very strong cards, but everything else is creatures, and they are doing some powerful stuff. So Wastescape Battlemage can exile artifact, bounce a creature, exile enchantment as well. Sowing Mycospawn, find lands, kill lands. Seer, discard cards from your opponent's hand. Devourer of Destiny, exile permanents. Flash Raker is helping, has a lot of synergy in the deck. It's great with a line breaker. It's providing us with the Eldrazi Scions, which make the Eldrazi line breaker ability go crazy, and you can really one-shot your opponents often and find a win out of nowhere just by combining these two cards. Okay, so if that heralds the end also plays well with Flash Raker tokens, and it pumps also all other creatures in our deck, which can be relevant when you play Kozilek's Command for a lot of mana, make a lot of Eldrazi tokens. They also play well with both Flash Raker and if that heralds the end, and all in all this is just contributing to very aggressive early aggro style play, which gets opponents down to 0 in a very quick fashion. Okay, so what else do we have here? Some Sowing Mycospawn finds us a land, so we got some one-offs we can find. It's particularly useful to find Cavern of Souls when playing against Control deck, and when playing against Tron deck and Eldrazi Ramp, it can be very useful to find a Ghost Quarter, kill their tapped Eugene's Labyrinth, Eldrazi Temple, Bojuka Bok when playing against Boros. You can tutor it for its Mycospawn, find the Bojuka Bok, exile opponent's Flage. So it definitely has, also you can just use it to find your own Eldrazi Temple or Labyrinth and ramp yourself. It has so many uses, it's a very good card. It's also land comes untapped, and this is very aggressive deck, and you are using doing aggressive stuff with these cheap creatures, but also these cheap creatures help you, like Herald and Flash Raker help, and the Mycospawn. So all these guys actually help you get to mana to play, have enough mana to play Sire of Seven Deaths and Devourer of Destiny, and once you start casting these guys, then the game is over. So the point is getting opponent down low enough, and then you play Sire and opponent just can't kill it, they can pay the 7 life. It just fits the strategy very well. This card was a missing piece for a lot of time for the Eldrazi decks this type, and it's just super good here. It's probably better here than anywhere else. And that's all. So in the sideboard I got some Trinispheres. So Trinisphere is great when you're playing against Prowess, and also Storm seems to be kind of picking up lately. So I wanted to have a good hate for Storm, which is proving to be one of the best combo decks at the moment, together with, I don't know, like Amulet Titan and the Belcher. So Unlicensed Hearst, in the beginning I didn't have a Graveyard Hate because I have Bojuka and Kozilek's Command in my main board, but then I played against Goryoz a lot and I was losing against Goryoz, and then I found Unlicensed Hearst very useful here. It can become a big creature, and we play a lot of creature, it's easy to crew it, and in the late game. So in the early game it can remove Flage, it can remove Goryo targets, it can remove other Reanimator targets, it can remove like Vengewines if you're playing against Hollow One, Detective Phoenixes, and whatever else. So there is a lot of use for a Graveyard Hate piece like this one, and I really liked it. And I don't board it too much, but when I board it, it's really impactful. Really. So Disruptor Flute, one of the better sideboard cards. This has so much uses. It's really incredible. So it's not just that activated abilities can be activated, but also you can play it against some decks, just making their stuff more expensive and tempoing them out of not being able to cast their spells and just disrupting them in some other way. So it's always useful, even if they don't have a thing you can lock with it on the field, you can still find a good use for it. So Dismember, this card has multiple uses, but I would say it's mainly to kill Harbinger of the Seas. So you need to have a removal for Harbinger. Harbinger is a problem for this deck, and you need to be able to kill it, play around it. Also in that matchup, if they play Oculus and Frog, Dismember can be good against both of these cards. Also can kill other blockers and whatever, so it's very useful card in that matchup, and you will also need it in some other matchups, of course. Sometimes it's just a good removal. Wastescape Battlemage, one of the better cards in the main, in the sideboard. This card kills the Core Steel Cutters, they kill the Earth Sagas, bounces the creatures, it just does everything. It's very good. And all is dust. I see a lot of people playing this in the main. I didn't like it that much in the main, but I believe it's a great cyber card, especially against Boros. And I feel like Boros slowly dropping at the moment in the meta game, so I decided against having all this dust in the main at the moment, but it's a very, very good card against a lot of decks. Okay, so that's all. So we can go to the gameplay, but before that, let me remind you about my dictionary profile, and the big news for my dictionary is that new big change is coming to dictionary, and I'm making a huge guide for Eldrazi Aggro together with another deck specialist, Rudokant, and you will have both of our versions available on my dictionary. Both of our versions will be able you'll be able to access it, have two different Excel tables, you can print it and have it with yourself on the tournament, but also there will be extensive written guides and a lot of thoughts on archetype. I'll be updating, making new guides on that archetype in the future, same as for Zoo, and I'm planning on doing Zoo stuff as well. So now new dictionary will be divided into two categories. There will, instead of this one, there will be a Zoo tier and Eldrazi tier and medium tier. You will see later. It will be quickly done. I think today it should be online. So if you're interested in this deck, you can go to the dictionary and choose Eldrazi tier and get the guide both for this version you see here and the version Rudokant is playing. You can check that in the MTGO league results or wherever. It's easy to find, and that's it. So you can find the links down below in the video description from my dictionary and everything else. So we can now go to the gameplay and see how it went. Okay, so this is game one. I didn't start from the beginning. Didn't start recorded from the beginning, but we can see most what happened. This was a very quick game one, turn 3, doing a lot of damage already. My opponent on 11, and they counter my Herald here, but I attack them down to 3 on my turn 3. That is truly amazing, and opponent untaps on their turn 3, plays land and realizes they can kill 2 creatures with 2 mana there, and it's a game over. So they concede. Maybe if they had something like Flage there, they would be back in game, but I was also very close to casting Sire. Okay, so my opponent was playing Jeskai Dreaddown, like the version something similar, like a controlish version. I'm not sure if they had null drifters in this version or not, but it's kind of a Jeskai control, let's say. Okay, so let's go see what happened. Okay, so here we are. It was a very medium hand and the second one as well, so I had to mulligan, And here I keep like a decent 5 cards, nothing crazy. Okay, so it's a pretty slow hand, and I can just play on curve like a 2 mana 2 creature, so it's not great, but it's a mulligan to 5. I didn't want to mulligan anymore, so I think that's okay. It's a keepable hand, playable against a deck like this one. Okay, so I play the Herald here, and the opponent has Tamio plus Prismatic Ending, kill my creature. Unfortunately, I'm stuck on lands here, so I can only play another Herald and see my opponent flage my Herald, and this is now pretty bad situation for me. I can play the Line Breaker, but my opponent is very close to escaping flage, and now they Flame of Inner, kill my Flash Raker, flip their Tamio plus the Tamio, and they can escape flage next turn, so it's pretty much impossible situation for me here. So yeah, opponent plays a Charmao, Tamio, and I quickly concede this game 1. So let's check game 3, see how the game 3 went. Okay, so this time I'm keeping 7 cards. I don't have anything crazy, no crazy starts, no Eldrazi Temples, Eugene's Labyrinth, but I think this hand is a little bit better. And of course we can always draw useful stuff here. Okay, I go Cavern of Souls. I think this can be helpful against them. They potentially playing some counter spells. So I go for it that heralds the end. And I find Eugene's Labyrinth. I think this is great draw. This enables me to play uncounterable Totnot Seer here on turn 3. My opponent has Consign to prevent me from taking their cards. But yeah, in a way I did take their card, did take the Consign. It's a good card against me, so I'm happy with that. Okay, so here I have another land. Next turn, I can actually cast my Sire next turn because Herald is actually making it cost less. Also, this turn I can play Kozilek's command, so I have some options. I decide to go for Eldrazi tokens and just scry and draw a card. Look at the top of my library. Okay, so have Eldrazi Temple, Flash Raker on top. Okay, so I can choose to play, I can play Kozilek's command here, or just jam the Sire, or go for the Wastescape Battlemage, just kicker, and bounce their Tamio, put another attacker on the field. I have potentially like a lethal here. So, but opponent has a Flame of Feiner, and yeah, they flip their Tamio here, but since I can just kill the Tamio here and deal some damage phase, I think this was a good deal for me here, putting my opponent down to 7. Once again, I again have lethal on board. My opponent has to do something, and next turn I'll be able to cast a Sire of 7 deaths. And again, I'm casting Kozilek's command. End of turn here, making Scions. Opponent has Consign once again, and unfortunately, I'm missing a mana here to cast my Sire. But I have 2 Sires in hand. If I resolve any of these Sires, then it's a big problem for my opponent, and I just need basically a land here to win. Okay, so I play a Mycospawn with a kicked ability. Opponent has a Consign, but the Sowing Mycospawn can be countered because of the Cavern. So I still resolve the creature, and my opponent is on 3, so they're very close to dying. Next turn they have to do something. You can see my opponent did do something. They played the Charmao and Tamio. And again, they kill my land, so again I have to find more lands to be able to play the Sire. And maybe I should have played the Sire on one of those turns when I had the mana. Okay, now opponent again has a consign, but I'm putting more and more creatures on the field. My opponent will need to find more answers. And here is Kozilek's comment for me. I think pretty solid find here. I can go for play command X2, make 2 Eldrazi Scions, and put 2 lands on the top. I decide to keep Eldrazi Temple on the top of my library. In case my opponent kills another land, I can still play it next turn. Okay, so opponent has 2 Charmants now, but finally I can resolve the Sire. Next turn I can resolve another one. Sorry, not resolve, but cast. And my opponent had a Snapcaster for first one. And I draw more Sires, so finally I resolve this Sire. So my opponent kills all my other creatures, but Sire of 7 Deaths is unkillable for them at this point because it has a ward pay 7 life. There's no way they can pay 7 life here, so there's just no way out for them. And my opponent has to concede here. They can't do anything. They play a Charmao, kill another land, but I go for attacks with everything, and my guy has a trample and first strike, and they can't block the damage that I go for lethal. So that is a game for first win, and let's see how other games went. Okay, so match 2, I was able to play turn 1 Labyrinth and turn 1 Chalice of the Void. So this play can be very strong against a lot of decks, and I still have Eldrazi Temple, Cavern, Boyuka in hand. These cards potentially can be really strong if we can see opponent conceding here on a turn 1 Chalice. Okay, so I have no idea what are they playing. But I decided to board in some cards. I took a guess that it's probably like Boros Energy. Okay, so I have Eldrazi Temple, and that's always good when you're starting with Eldrazi Temple. A lot of these hands can be very strong. I have Eugene's Labyrinth, Kozilek's Command on top, 2 very good cards. Okay, so I have Eldrazi Temple on the field. The next turn I can play Eugene's Labyrinth and, for example, play Totnot Seer. That seems pretty solid. Okay, play Totnot Seer, take card from their hand and present a strong blocker for their creatures. Okay, so 2 Molten Rains and Flage. This is pretty good hand for them. Pretty good hand, but they also need a land to be able to play any of those cards. And I decided to take one of their Molten Rains. I can't let them kill both my Eldrazi Temple and Eugene's Labyrinth. Okay, so opponent discards a Flage, of course, with Fable, and then Molten Rains kills my Eugene's Labyrinth. I have to deal with that. I think that's fine. I can still play one of my creatures this turn. And next turn, if my Fleshraker survives, I can start doing some serious damage with a Linebreaker and making more Eldrazi Sand tokens, which allows me to cast All Is Dust more easily, which then just wins me the game. Okay, a 4 mana at this point unfortunately can't play both Fleshraker and Linebreaker this turn. But Okay, so my opponent is not in a great situation and they're missing one card here to be able to escape their flage, and I'm hoping that it will be too late for them to try escape. And once I play the line breaker and I have all this dust in my hand, even if they try to do something with flage, I can still play all this dust and clear the field. Okay, so I play a line breaker. I do a lot of these abilities with a flesh raker, putting my opponent down on 6 life, and then making Eldrazi line breaker a huge guy with trample. It's impossible for my opponent to block everything in this situation. So I attack with 10-3 trample Eldrazi and all my other creatures. And even opponent had a lot of creatures, they're still not able to find enough blockers to survive this attack. Okay, so let's go check out match 3. Okay, so match 3 I was playing against Eldrazi Tron. I played turn 2 Totnut Seer, I see Mycospawn, I take their Mycospawn from their hand, and yeah, obviously turn 2 Totnut Seer is pretty solid. I have a Ghost Quarter in my hand. A lot of people asking why do you have a Ghost Quarter, and this is one of the situations where Ghost Quarter like really shines. It's a great card, so you can see my opponent would have Tron next turn. If I didn't have this Ghost Quarter here, I would be in a lot worse situation. So I'm attacking here for 4, putting my opponent down to 16. I'm playing the Flesh Raker and Ghost Quartering one of their lands, which will slow them down at least a turn. Okay, I wait for them to find a third Tron piece, and then I go for a Ghost Quarter, one of their Tron lands. This slow them for a turn, and they also have to find find another way to find a Tron, but opponent has a Sowing Mycospawn here, and they found a Tron again. This puts them in great situation, but maybe gives me enough time to try to win this. Okay, so I'm going for the Line Breaker here. I'm going for the Line Breaker, dealing 2 damage with Flesh Raker as well. This can be very relevant, the Flesh Raker pings. And now I don't really want to attack with Line Breaker, I don't want to trade with Mycospawn, and I can't attack with Flesh Raker as well. So I think best deal is to just pump my Eldrazi Scion token and attack for 8 with Totnut Seer and Eldrazi Scion token. If my opponent wants to jump, that's okay. But opponent lets 8 damage through, and now they untap, this time with Tron on the field. And I know they have Wallbreaker and Mystic Forge, but they top deck Karn, the Great Creator. This is a very good top deck for them here. They find Ensnaring Bridge, which prevents me from attacking, or at least my 2 mana creatures here. So it's a problem for me, but also I can try to find a kill with Flesh Raker. Actually, at this point, if they don't kill any of my creatures, I top deck a creature, I have a kill with the Flesh Raker. So that can be a pretty good way to end things too. Okay, so opponent minuses the Karn again. They're tutoring again for something from the sideboard, and they find Walking Ballista. Okay, so Walking Ballista here can kill one of my Flesh Rakers, and that can prevent me from killing them with the Glaring Flesh Raker ability. So yeah, that's exactly what they did. And they kill one of my Flesh Rakers. So if they didn't do that, this Sire of 7 deaths would actually be lethal. I misclicked here. Luckily it didn't matter. I was able to cast this Sire anyway on the same turn. Just had to sack one of the Eldrazi's. It didn't matter, but yeah. Now what I need to do here is kill the Ensnaring Bridge, or if my opponent doesn't kill my Fleshraker, what I need to do is actually just top deck any creature. Actually not, because they have Walking Ballista now, sorry, so they can just kill my Fleshraker if they want. Okay, my opponent makes a Mystic Forge into a creature, and I do play Wastescape Battlemages here. Opponent digs with Kozilek's Command for a lot of mana. And they do have World Breaker in hand. They can go for a World Breaker possibly and kill my land or something like that. But I top deck Wastescape Battlemage from the top, and I can kill Ensnaring Bridge, bounce one of their blockers and end things immediately. So I bounce the Mystic Forge and kill the Ensnaring Bridge. And I pump my Sire of 7 Deaths. This is also thing you have to do sometimes, and just pump the Sire of 7 Deaths, give it haste, like in a situation like from last turn. I played the Sire and I was able to give it haste with Eldrazi Linebreaker ability. That play is devastating against a lot of decks. I was not able to attack last turn because they had Ensnaring Bridge on the field, but now I'm presenting 2 lethal attackers with trample, and yeah, my opponent concedes. That is the match. Let's check out the last match for the trophy here. I keep a decent hand. Eldrazi Linebreaker, Kozilek's Command, Totnot Seer. I also have a Cavern of Souls. I'm hoping for a 7 mana creature here to play Linebreaker here with Labyrinth. That didn't happen, but it's okay. So I play I play Chalice of the Void, and now my opponent has Aether Vial on the field and 1 white mana. This means either they're playing like the Orzo Blink or maybe some Texas deck, but since I see Ghost Quarter in the deck, I'm guessing they play like mono white Death and Texas style deck. Okay, a 2 mana here, opponent. Chalice, not very useful against a deck like that, but it can be. Yeah, I find Eldrazi Temple here from the top, a great top deck, opportunity for me to play Totnot Seer. I see their hand, it is Orchid Phantom, Talia, Giver of Runes, Flicker Wisp. They're actually missing a 3rd land here to be able to play the Flicker Wisp. I remove the white Orchid Phantom. I don't want to let them kill my Eldrazi Temple, so that was the card I didn't like the most here, and most of my deck is creatures, so Talia it's not very good against it. Okay, opponent uses a Ghost Quarter, but that is fine because they are losing the land to do so. They of course have the Vial, but it's fine. So I have mana next turn to play the Linebreaker. I have mana for a Kozilek's Command. It could be a good idea to kill the Felia. Felia can sometimes do nasty stuff, exile my Totnot to get another card, stuff like that. Okay, so I go. They're tapped out, so I know what cards they have in their hand. They did not play Talia yet, so now I can get to exile the Felia and see what I'll do with cards on top of my library. Some good cards on top, definitely. Another command that can be great. I will also have 7 mana. I can also be the Texas deck and actually kill their last land on the field, make them only use vials. Okay, so Opponent puts Talia on the field and another Giver of Runes, and at this point they only have Flicker Wisp I know about in their hand. Okay, so I can go for a land with Mycospawn and then play another creature. That seems pretty solid, but I decide to go like, maybe it was better to go for Eldrazi Temple with Mycospawn, I think, then play the Flesh Raker. But I decided to just go for a Flesh Raker this turn, nothing else. In case my opponent kills my Eugene's Labyrinth, I can return Sire of 7 Deaths to my hand. Luckily, White Orchid Phantom allows me to find Waste as well. Cards like Boseiju actually don't let you do that, and here my opponent plays Flicker Wisp, but instead of killing another land, my opponent blinks my Totnut Seer. So that was actually this was actually better for me. Okay, so they did draw a card by exiling a Totnut Seer, but here I am tapping with 5 lands, and this is pretty good for me. So now I think I can go, I can do that play I wanted to do last turn, and I can go like Mycospawn, find the Eldrazi Temple, and then play the Line Breaker and make another token, and next turn, turn after that, I'll have enough mana to cast Sire of 7 Deaths, and I think Sire of 7 Deaths is just a game over against a deck like this. It's really hard for them to deal with it, find answer for it. Okay, so we can see Eldrazi Line Breaker being really huge here, and I think it's a lot of damage to go make this guy 9-3 and try to kill them with it, try to attack with everything. Opponent has 2 First Strikers though and 2 Giver of Runes, so I don't think it is a good idea for me to attack with the Line Breaker there. So I think what I'll do is wait for that play I talked about before. So just play Sire of 7 Deaths and give it haste with Line Breaker, and there's just no chance opponents will be able to deal with something like that, because this guy is First Strike, Vigilance, Menace, Trample, Reach, Lifelink, Ward, pays 7 life, and opponent is on 0 cards in hand right now, so I can just play my Sire, ping for 2 with Flesh Raker, give it haste and pump it to lot of power, 15 I think, and here I'm attacking with hasty 15-7 First Striker, Trampler. My opponent can't block with everything, but they still lose, so that's the game. Let's see how post board games went there. Okay, so a slower hand, do have 3 lands and the Cavern of Souls. This is kind of close, very close to mulliganing, but since my opponent's deck is not the fastest, I decided to try to keep this one and see how it will go. Unfortunately, they have Leonin Arbiter and Field of Ruin, but if they try to kill my land, I can pay 2 mana, so I'm playing slowly. I'm playing slowly and playing around Arbiter if needed. Opponent plays Ethervial, they're kind of stuck on lands as well. What I want to do partially is like hold mana for Leonin Arbiter, but I think, yeah, like playing Glaring Flesh Raker is still good there. If they want to kill it, they'll probably have to use something like Solitude. Not sure what other removals they play, maybe they have some Path to Exiles. Okay, but yeah. I can go Disruptor Flute on Ethervial, that seems decent. I think also playing another Flesh Raker could be a pretty good idea, and then just going for a Disruptor Flute. A third Flesh Raker in my hand, if opponent doesn't have Solitude Ephemerate, could end things up pretty quickly. Okay, so I go for a Flesh Raker. I make a token, do two of these abilities, and now I have 2 mana I can use for Arbiter ability if needed, if they try to kill my lands. I can also just play the flute. Okay, so here it is, my opponent playing Ophelia end of turn, and now I go for Disruptor Flute, naming Ether Vial. My opponent won't be able to use Vial at least. They can attack with Ophelia though, and blink the flute and stuff like that. Let's see what happens, okay? So they go for attack and of course do what I was talking about. But that's totally fine. I can trade with Felia here, I think I like that. But opponent saves their Felia with Ephemerate. That's fine, that's fine. This means my Fleshraker survives as well. Disruptor Flute again comes to the field. I will name Ethervial again. And I will try to present more strong blockers next turn, so my opponent doesn't attack me with Felia. But since my opponent had a rebound on Ephemerate, I decided to choose Ephemerate with Disruptor Flute, disable my opponent from playing it. And here I actually play a Fleshraker, but I kind of just pay 1 mana for it since I made 2 tokens. And I have 3 Fleshrakers now, so basically all my spells cost like 1 mana here. And you can see me playing the Linebreaker there and doing so much Fleshraker abilities. I kill my opponent even without attacking. And then it is, this was the Trophy League with this build. I liked a lot. If that Herald land the end plus Fleshraker plus Landbreaker makes such a strong like starting team. It aggroes opponent, it kills early very efficiently. All these cards can really go crazy in this deck, especially Linebreaker. This is the best piece in deck by far, and together with If That Herald is the end, Fleshraker and Kozilek's command, it allows you to really finish things up early and just get those wins out of nowhere basically. Okay, so you could see also Fleshraker winning some games, pinging opponent for a lot of damage. It's really synergistic with everything else happening in the deck. Chalice of the Void, I think, very strong right now, a lot of prowess around, energy, and it's good against control decks as well because they play 1 mana removals which you can lock with Chalice of the Void. It's never really dead. The modern is starting to be faster and faster, and even the combo decks have a lot of 0 mana spells where Chalice plays well, and a lot of decks just plays so many 1 mana spells, and if nothing they will also have removal and discard spells or stuff like that. That you can always lock with Chalice. Kozilek's command, of course, is sick, great card, one of the best cards out there, and it's also very good and synergistic in this build with If That Herald at the end and Glaring Fleshraker, of course, but also Eldrazi Linebreaker, which is the core card of this deck. Okay, so that is it. Tomorrow on the channel we'll have a Trophy League with a similar but different build from this one, with some new tech and some other small changes. Okay, so until then, that's it for today. Hope you liked the video, hope you liked the gameplay. I'm having a huge amount of fun with Eldrazi Aggro. It's performing amazing. It seems like one of the better decks to choose to play at the moment. It's really good choice for bigger tournaments as well. I think it suits the playstyle of my Dictionary subscribers which like to play Zoo. I think this is a similar playstyle, like a pay low mana for big creatures, attack with them, try to be really aggressive at the same time disrupting them, this time not with Tribal Flames, Bolts, Stubborn Denials, but instead Chalice of the Void, Kozilek's Command, Wastescape Battlemage, Disruptor Flute and stuff like that. Okay, but it's really, I think, same playstyle, and I really enjoy the Zoo decks and Zoo style of gameplay, and this really offers something similar to that. But again, different type, and very different, but still very low to the ground aggro deck that has the edge of going up on mana very fast just by playing cards, playing your creatures, Mycospawn, a Flesh Raker, and going to 7 mana pretty fast to cast Sire of 7 Deaths, Devourer of Destiny, thanks to those cards, but plus also Eugene Labyrinth and Eldrazi Temple, the stompy grounds of this build, which really give it another dimension, and which is why this deck is performing so good and doing some powerful stuff. Okay, so again, thank you for watching, and that's all for today. Goodbye.